Have you ever thought there's a way to get paid every single month without working, and even with zero income tax? Sounds like a scam, right? But it's not. And the most surprising part? Millions of Brazilians are ignoring this, while a few are quietly getting rich. Today, you're going to find out why the MXRF11 fund could be the key to transforming your financial life, maybe even your first step to escaping the rat race. Imagine waking up at the start of the month, opening your banking app, and seeing that money just landed in your account, without effort, without selling anything, without asking for a raise. That's what passive income is. And MXRF11 is one of the most accessible and surprisingly effective ways to start building it. But hold on. Before you run out to buy shares of this fund, you need to understand what's really behind the code MXRF11. Because what looks like just another real estate fund actually hides secrets that most people miss. The story starts in 2007. The real estate investment fund market in Brazil was still in its infancy. Most investors believed real estate was only about buying, renting, and waiting. But BTG Pactual, one of the biggest investment banks in Latin America, created a fund that would slowly become the largest real estate fund on the Brazilian stock exchange in number of investors. That's right. Over 800,000 people already invest in this fund. And that's not by accident. MXRF11 is a hybrid fund. That means it mixes different types of real estate investments, paper assets like CRIs and LCIs, physical properties, and even shares of other funds. It's like a combo deal that aims to get the best of both worlds, stability and yield. Now, if you think that's common, you're wrong. Most funds pick either paper or brick. MXRF11 manages to balance both, which gives it insane versatility to adapt to market conditions. Our interest rate's high. It profits from CRIs indexed to the CDI. Is the real estate market heating up? It gains from property appreciation. It's like that friend who thrives in any situation. But maybe you're asking, okay, but what's in it for me? Great question. Let's talk about returns. MXRF11 typically pays monthly dividends in the range of 0.8% to 1.1% per month, averaging about 10% to 12% per year, tax-free. Yes, you heard that right, tax-free. That S, because real estate funds that distribute at least 95% of their profits semi-annually and are traded on the stock exchange qualify for this benefit for individual investors. Now compare that to a savings account, which barely yields 0.5% per month and still loses value to inflation in the background. Or the Selic Treasury bond, which has its merits, but requires patience and, of course, is not tax-exempt. In that scenario, MXRF11 is like an oasis of stable returns, with liquidity and tax protection. And before anyone says, but real estate funds are risky, let's look at the numbers. MXRF11 has over $3 billion in net assets. That's more than the GDP of some Brazilian cities. On top of that, it's managed actively by professionals from BTG who are constantly fine-tuning the portfolio to maximize returns and reduce risks. And the best part? You can become a shareholder in all of this for less than $10 per share. Yes, the share price of MXRF11 floats between $9 and $11. That means with less than $100, you can build a small portfolio and start collecting monthly income. Know what that means? Real estate investing is no longer just for millionaires. Now any Brazilian can become an investor. But that's not all. Do you remember the scandal that shook the real estate fund market in 2022 when CVM, Brazil's SEC, declared that some REITs were distributing profits they didn't actually earn? MXRF11 was right in the middle of that, but not how you might think. It was the main fund at the center of it all. CVM ordered MXRF11 to revise its dividend distribution method, causing share prices to drop and sparking widespread panic. Many people rushed to sell, but those who kept their cool won big. Because not long after, CVM backtracked on its decision, following a flood of criticism and analyses, proving that funds were indeed acting within the rules. MXRF11 bounced back, and those who bought during the dip multiplied their investment within months. That story shows two things. First, that the market is emotional and often irrational. Second, that MXRF11 is resilient. It didn't just survive a regulatory crisis, it came out stronger. Now think about this. If a fund of this size with this history and adaptability made it through a crisis of confidence and kept paying dividends monthly, what do you think it can do in a falling interest rate environment with a heating economy? The answer is obvious. It can grow even more. Here's one of MXRF11's biggest strengths. It's accessible, resilient, and strategic. Unlike overly specific funds, it plays on many fronts. In 2024, for instance, its portfolio includes CRIs tied to logistics, residential, commercial, and educational sectors. In other words, it's exposed to different segments that behave differently depending on the economy. That reduces risk and increases earning potential. Don't forget about liquidity. MXRF11 is highly traded on the B3, meaning if one day you need to sell your shares, it's much easier to find buyers. Many funds suffer with low liquidity, but MXRF11 is practically a blue chip of REITs. Now let's move beyond financial logic. Let's talk about investor psychology. One of the biggest mental blocks people have when investing is fear of the unknown. But MXRF11 has a simple name: a public and accessible track record, transparent managers, and regular payments that help investors build the habit of investing. There's more. Receiving income every month creates a tangible feeling of return, which motivates reinvestment. That's a massive psychological advantage over funds that pay semi-annually or annually. Let me ask you something. How many times have you tried to save money but ended up spending it? Now imagine if instead of trying to save, you invested in an asset that pays you every month, and then you reinvest that. That creates a virtuous cycle. It is no surprise there are entire YouTube channels dedicated to showing compound interest with REITs, and MXRF11 is almost always at the top of the list. It's the darling of beginner and veteran investors alike because it combines three rare traits: easy to understand, consistent returns, and a proven track record. But let's be clear. It's no miracle. MXRF11 also carries risks. Like any fund, it's exposed to loan defaults, CRI, property vacancies, market fluctuations, and monetary policy. That's why diversification is key. You shouldn't put everything in it, but you should consider it an important part of your passive income strategy. One more thing. MXRF11's dividend yield can fluctuate. It's not fixed. It depends on the assets in the portfolio, the economy, and management decisions. But over the long run, it has maintained a competitive average, and that consistency is what attracts so many investors. Oh, and don't forget. Remember the saying, the market always prices in the future? Yeah. If you wait for the perfect moment to invest, you'll probably join in after others have already made their profits. The secret isn't predicting the future, it's buying into assets with strong fundamentals and a long-term mindset. MXRF11 is exactly that. A fund with over a decade of history, a diversified portfolio, professional management, consistent monthly returns, and tax-free income. And best of all, it's available today. You don't need 1,000 REITs or a finance degree or to be an expert. All you need is action. So if you want to start investing or strengthen your passive income stream, MXRF11 is a solid starting point. And if you don't have it in your portfolio yet, maybe today is the day to change that.